And that's what I teach people to do. I'm not a therapist or anything of that nature, but I've been through it. I've been healthy since 2015. I've been off all medication. We started a nonprofit to help let people know like there are solutions out there, real solutions. I mean, you got to take care of the body, the mind, the emotions, the spirit, every part of it. And the spiritual education is something that God's given me a gift, because I've gone through it and I've come out the other side healthy. And I just want to share it with as many people as I can. Everyone that I've shared this story with who has a loved one struggling with a mental health challenge or is struggling themselves has walked away with hope. And I think you will hear in this hope for you as well. My name's Mark Hattas. And when I first was diagnosed with bipolar 1 disorder, I was spinning. My head was twirling. I couldn't believe it. I had been such a normal executive, entrepreneur, father of 5, married, and family man, faith-filled man. And I didn't know who had mental health challenges, but it wasn't me. And so it was just this shock and awe to my system. And I look back, and it's the best thing that ever happened to me. And I'm going to share 2 reasons why. And I think by the end, you're going to relate to this, no matter what your trauma or story or circumstances are. The first thing that happened when I sold my interest in a tech company that I helped build, and it was good. We did really well. We built it to 150 people. At the peak, we hit about 20 million in sales. And frankly, it was the best of times. But I had this calling to move on, and I don't know if you've ever felt like God's spoken to you, but in 2006, I had an experience where I heard this voice say, "Mark, it's time to sell the company." And I laughed and I said, "God, if this is you, then you're going to have to show me how to do this because I have no idea." And there was more to the message that's a little bit personal, but it was reflecting kind of what I was going to do next. Like clockwork, we hired a person who became key to helping us stabilize and grow from 11 to 12 to 17 to 20 million in revenue. And he was phenomenal. He's a good friend. And I was reminded in 2010, right? That was '06 the first time. 2010, I was sitting on the couch in Naples, Florida. My wife and kids had just finished Thanksgiving dinner, and my eyes were closed. Everything was cleaned up, and we're all just resting. And I heard that same voice, and that voice said, "When you get back to the office, offer to buy your partner out, my business partner." And by that time, I was pretty trusting, and I'm like, "All right." And so I did. And the way that the conversation went was completely surprising to me. And it ended up that he bought me out. And so I was sitting there with a lot of money, and what I had was kind of an identity crisis. Who was I if I wasn't an entrepreneur? Who was I if I wasn't, uh, the CEO of this, really successful tech company? And I didn't like myself. I didn't like what I saw. I didn't know the words at the time, but today I'd say that I was trying to be something rather than actually being who I was. I was trying to be this successful entrepreneur. I was trying to be seen as worthy of the accolades, that had been showered upon us, of the money that I had received, and it just wasn't there. A friend of mine called me a couple months after the sale and he said, "I had a dream last night and you're supposed to go to Israel." And he had already lined up a trip, and it just bubbled up in my heart. Yes. And we worked it out where I did. I went for 16 days, and it brought the Bible from black and white and flat to living color and alive in me. It was like fresh water was flowing through my veins. Although it doesn't make sense because blood flows through our veins, but you get what I mean. The interesting thing about that experience is I experienced God many times in a very short period of time. And I hungered for that connection. I hungered for what was real because I didn't feel that I had been as real as I could be. I felt like a fraud. And it was because in my experience of who I was, I knew that there was a relationship with God that had been there. And I would go to it when I most needed it, but it wasn't alive. It was sort of something I put on the shelf and pulled off, when it was necessary. And this experience in Israel lit me up. It's like, wait, I want this. Like, what is this? Well, over the summer of 2011, I experienced a mania, is what the world calls it, or a spiritual awakening, is how other people would describe it. I mean, walls moved and God spoke to me, and Mother Mary showed up, and I felt the touch of God's finger on my ear and was blown away into this mystical universe. My eyes were closed, but it felt and looked as if my eyes were open, even though I knew I was just sitting in a chair in my dining room that night. I was taught how to love. I was taught so much in those weeks. And when I was hauled out of the home and brought to the behavioral health facility in September of that year, I didn't know why. Like, why would they stop? I wanted to finish. There was this idea I wanted to finish. And now I look back, it's like, well, what did I want to finish? Well, I wanted to know God. I wanted to be in God's presence like 100% of the time. I didn't want to go back and retreat how I had been. Like, I wanted to really know, like, who am I as a child of God? And so the doctor, as he sat at the end of the bed and said, "There's no cure. I'll be on medication the rest of my life." And this whole story, I'm like, wait a minute, this is awful. And as an entrepreneur and as a man who grew up in a strong faith environment, it didn't jive either. It's like, well, what do you mean I'm going to be like this the rest of my life? Like, this is horrible. What an existence. And I remember going home and just feeling empty. And for a while, I felt like I was a sixth child. We had 5 children, and I was like a sixth child in the house. And my wife was making sure I took my medication and making sure I didn't stay up too late and making sure I ate food and all the things that would prevent me from going back. There's a lot of fear naturally. And I had it in droves as well. And one night, after a very interesting out of body experience while giving a TED talk, which is still online, and I don't recommend it, but because I had an out of body experience, I came back and I'm pacing the whole time, but it's out there still. I felt so needing to know like that there was more. And I said, "God, if there's a way to heal, please show me the way. I'm yours. I surrender." And my hand, I'm using my right hand because otherwise I'd hit the microphone, but it was actually my left hand. My hand lifted off of my lap and reached over to a book on the side of my bed. And I had a stack of like 12, 18 books over there, and opened up to a certain chapter. I started reading and started laughing. And it was the story of St. Teresa of Avila. And she was a 16th century mystic, and she was describing things that sounded really similar to what I experienced in mania. I'm like, wait a minute. If she were alive today, she'd be locked up too. And I shared this with my wife, and she didn't think it was very funny because she was afraid I would want to go back. And she's right. I wanted to finish. I wanted that finished wholeness. So there's two lessons I wanted to share from this. One, I wanted to finish, and I rushed. I chased. And I've learned that that's not the a best approach. That's going to lead to a manic episode. And I also perceived mania as enlightenment. And I was wrong about that too. In fact, there's this great story I'll probably share on another podcast about how God taught me how to shift the energy and how my brain started shifting when I was in the manic episode and when I wasn't. And it's awful. But I thought in my head, at the time, like, oh, I want to get back there because that's where I connected with God in that heightened state. But that's not what is real. That was also just a fabrication. And what's real is grounded, connected, whole relationship. And you don't chase that. You open to it. And that's what I teach people to do. I'm not a therapist or anything of that nature, but I've been through it. I've been healthy since 2015. I've been off all medication. We started a nonprofit to help let people know, like, there are solutions out there, real solutions. I mean, you got to take care of the body, the mind, the emotions, the spirit, every part of it. And the spiritual education is something that God's given me a gift, because I've gone through it and I've come out the other side healthy. And I just want to share it with as many people as I can. And if you're dealing with or have a loved one that's dealing with a mental health challenge, I encourage you, subscribe to this channel and watch these episodes, because we're going to do real work. We're going to have real people here with real challenges, and they're not all mental health challenges. It could be a relationship challenge or what have you. But what I've learned is if we're off from that relationship with God, that is a mental health challenge. And so instead of the stats, which say 1 in 5 people are, struggling with a mental health challenge, in their lifetime, a friend of mine shared with me that it's more like 5 in 5. And I think that that's right, that most people are off. And until we're centered, until we align with, and my reference point is it's Jesus, it's the Christ, it's the wholeness, it's the union relationship with God. And the cool thing is when Jesus was here, he gave us the instructions, the exact instructions of how to get to that place. And when someone goes through that process, the mental health stuff goes away. Like, I think that we're going to get to a point where we will look back and we will be viewed today, in today's time, as archaic, as barbaric, how we treat people with mental health illnesses. It's like, there won't be mental health illnesses. There might be a brain injury from an accident or a birth issue or something like that. But the mental health issues we're dealing with today, there's no reason to have them. If we teach the principles that Jesus taught, it helps us get into a centered state, and it activates a guidance system that leads us to the answers that are best for us. And they're going to be different for you than they are for me. This is what we're going to be doing on this channel. And if you're interested in this kind of work, you owe it to yourself to continue to follow and continue to learn how these things can be practiced. And if you just look in the description below, you're going to see some links for some free stuff. Like, you can start reading my latest book. It's a #1 bestseller, 4-time award-winning book, The Lowly Prophet. And you could start reading it for free. And there's a beautiful activation prayer that's for free as well. And every week I go live for 30 minutes, and you can check that out too. And then you've got all of the content that's going to be building here on this channel. So bless you, bless you, bless you. And I hope that if nothing else, you walk away today feeling just a little more hope than you did before you started watching this video.